Kia ora tātou, ko Vicktoria Black toka wingawa, ko o te kaihautu whakauka mō Te Whatu Ora, kei Tauranga Moana aho e noho ana. So I am based in Tauranga and am lucky enough to be here in Wellington today, so thank you for the invitation. And it is quite an intimidating room, I have to say. It's such a great space to be in. It's so amazing to be around researchers. I've got a bit of a background in education. If you LinkedIn stalk me, you'll see that. So it's really nice to be back in the fold with researchers and people that are working in education, so kia ora for that as well. I just want to also mention that I mention where I live because it's so important to connect with our place and to recognise ka o te whenua ko o, we are the land, or we are the environment in which we live, and it is us. And we need to recognise that that connection is really, really important to our health and well-being. At Te Whatu Ora, we have adopted the whakatauki, ko ora te taiao, ko ora te tangata. If the environment is well, so too are the people. And that really is driving the work that we're undertaking in the climate resilience and environmental sustainability space. I've got a bunch of notes here that I'm going to try not to read, but there are some really key themes that I want to get across today. You know, we really need to understand that new and increasing health risks, more frequent and extreme weather events, and higher temperatures, along with changing expectations and demands, mean that our systems need to prepare and to adapt and respond to climate change. And actually also that climate action equals population health improvements, and thank you to Dr. Carolyn Shaw for earlier today, you know, giving some examples around e-bikes. And yes, they may not have necessarily be changing trips, but actually that doesn't matter. We need people to be more active, and actually one of the things I want to socialise and make more popular is that sneakers are better than high heels, and we should be allowed to wear them in the office, because it means that we're going to be walking more places. I must have walked at least 12 blocks today, and there is no way I would have done that if I was wearing high heels. I digress. You know, our response, and when I say our response, I mean our response is Te Whatu Ora, but also our response, when we combine it with the actions of other agencies and organisations, it provides a real opportunity to improve population health through the emissions reduction action that we're taking collectively. And that could in turn actually reduce healthcare demand, which could then in turn further reduce our emissions because we're not having to provide so many hospital services. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, if we actually make changes to the way that we're doing things, it will see population health improvements. The other thing that we need to acknowledge is that Māori and our Pacific neighbours are disproportionately affected by climate change, and that tangata whenua have a specific role to play as Aotearoa New Zealand investigates solutions for environmental sustainability and climate resilience. It's imperative that our systems work to ensure that the Indigenous or Te Ao perspective is built into problem-solving considerations. And there's been heaps of international research that has shown that Indigenous knowledge is one of the keys to the solution, but we just haven't quite figured out how to put that into policy yet. And if I can just quickly plug the Climate Health and Sustainable Healthcare Conference that is on next week, if you look at the program for that, we as the organising committee are so proud of what we have managed to pull together for that program, which is really taking a mātauranga Māori lens and really should be open, well, is open to all of you, and all sustainability professionals actually should be engaging in that conference because there's some really interesting content around looking at different lenses, and I won't speak for my colleagues who will speak there and steal their thunder, but there are ways that we can be embedding this Indigenous view alongside our Eurocentric view to really be understanding how we can do this. And very early in the journey, but it's something that is very important to us at Te Whatu Ora. We have to co-design the way we do things. We have to work alongside iwi Māori because of how affected they are by environmental sustainability and climate change. And we have an opportunity to be a global leader, and we like that, right? Like, we really like the opportunity to be leading in this space, so why would we miss that opportunity? The other thing, and Minister Shaw spoke about it this morning, you know, well, he spoke about the fact that government is in silos, and I speak about the fact that we need to break down those silos. And actually some of us, and I see some people in the audience today and colleagues online, we're already doing that. So we are actually in this space, if not other policy spaces, but in this space, we really are breaking down some of those silos and starting to talk across agency. And we haven't connected yet with our local authority peeps, and that is something that is a work in progress, and how we're going to figure that out. But we can't do this on our own. I've got 5 minutes, okay, I'm doing okay. We can't do this on our own, and actually we're duplicating stuff. Do you know what I mean? And we haven't got enough resources, not enough brains to be doing duplication, so we should be sharing the load across our agencies and organisations to get the wins that we need, and collaboration is key. Ego is the enemy of climate action, you know, like we actually have to work together on this. I'm doing okay, but I'm just going to share this slide. So you've probably seen this one before. If you haven't, this is out of the most recent IPCC report. And I think what this is really showing us is that climate change doesn't just impact on human health, and I'll show you a slide on that shortly, but this actually is impacting our quality of life. And I think something that's interesting for us to know, looking around this room, is that where sort of that old 70 years thing is there. You know, most of us were born around 1980, maybe slightly after that. Hey, looking at this room. You know, this is us in our old age, okay? And so I'm going to just let you look at this for a minute. I'll come back to this one. If we look at the health impacts of climate change, most of the impacts on here significantly impact old people, older populations, aging people, right? Whatever terminology you want to use. I'm just talking about us, right? Like if we just look at it selfishly, this is going to impact us, you know. And sometimes we need to think about that to make those changes. And maybe not us as in us people in this room, but actually this is the way that we can engage with the general population to help them understand that this is impacting you, and it's not just us asking you to give up your cars. This is your future. And you know, some of our decision makers, particularly in local government, aroha mai, but you know, are older, and so they're at this part here, you know, they're coming towards the end. They're not going to see what we're going to see, and even if we meet what we need to do, which is that bottom one there, it's still not looking great. But at the moment, we're at the top. And the heat is going to go up before it comes down. And the recent research has shown that we will hit 1.5 degrees by 2027. It will come up before it goes down because of an El Nino. Now, I'm just trying to remember that we're talking about opportunities, so I'm going to make it positive at some point. But I will just mention that between 2030 and 2050, climate change is expected to cause approximately 250,000 additional deaths each year globally from malnutrition, water, vector and waterborne diseases, and heat-related health issues. Not to mention the fact that weather, heat, and other climate-related events will have a significant impact on the quality of life compared with our parents and their parents, regardless of whether we meet the commitments of the Paris Agreement. That was rough. That was a bit rough, but it's true. Oh, I've got 2 minutes. Okay, good. So I'm going to look at this. Te Whatu Ora is the new health system. So we are the coming together of all of the DHBs across the motu, and this is really exciting news. So you're probably hearing some negative things in the press. They'd like to do that to some of the parts of our system. But actually, this is a real opportunity for systemic change, and we are seeing really good opportunities already. We're able to take a national lens to infrastructure investment. We've already announced a $99 million energy transition program, which has been co-funded from us and the state sector decarbonisation fund, which will transition away from natural gas and other fossil fuels, because we've already committed to no more coal energy by 2025. Right? These are the types of activities that are able to be happening because of what Te Whatu Ora are doing, as well as taking a national approach to greening clinical practice, to circular economy and waste solutions. You know, so there's some positive news. I think that we need to make sure that climate change is in all policy, because we also want health in all policy. We need to really acknowledge that climate change is a health and wellbeing issue, and stop thinking about infrastructure and assets in our planning. We need to start thinking about people and community and be building that into our policy. Yes, we might need to find some financial metrics and some numbery things to put around it to sell that idea, but we really also need people to recognise that it is happening to them. And how we do that is through that health and wellbeing lens, in my opinion. And usually I have a slide of puppies and kittens, and I didn't bring that today, but one thing I would like to close with is just a thank you again to the University of Otago for the invitation. And I just want to ask you all to take care of yourselves, because working in this space is a lot. And so you need to take care of yourself and take care of your colleagues as well. Hug each other, talk about cool stuff. I watch MasterChef, that's my guilty pleasure, and I don't care. I don't even want you to judge me, I don't care. I watch it when it's on the TV too, because I know it's 7:30, I'm watching MasterChef, and that's my 1 hour of not doing climate change. So, kia ora.